Welcome to BBTV Today, the promotional broadcast of the Embassy Network International's Bodybuilders Television Network. Each edition of BBTV Today will feature clips from programming featured on the Bodybuilders Television Network, including the powerful preaching, teaching, and prophetic ministries of the founders and apostle Dr. W.C. Chambliss III and Dr. Brenda C. Miller. The Bodybuilders Television Network is your urban alternative for one-of-a-kind ministry programming that is designed to edify the body and reach the lost. Each edition of BBTV Today will spotlight segments from programming that is featured on the Bodybuilders Television Network, like Refreshed, ministry programming for and by women, Move Something, concept and performance music videos, Kingdom Currency, balanced biblical teaching on finance, VIP seating, your front row seat to view uncut footage from non-televised conferences, conventions, revivals, and convocations, shoulder to shoulder, preaching and teaching programming from kingdom-minded media partners. The main event, footage from the Kingdom Builder Partner Fellowship. This 3-day monthly taping at the Bodybuilders Television Network headquarters features national and up-and-coming guests, all before a studio audience of our Kingdom Builder partners. The Bodybuilders Television Network will feature interviews with national and international known authors, ministry and business leaders, sports, entertainment, and industry leaders. And when it comes to recording artists, you will see one-of-a-kind interviews and performances, many live and impromptu. Bodybuilders Television Network will also be known for introducing our viewers to up-and-coming itinerant ministries, indie artists, Christian entrepreneurs, and especially small church pastors. If you enjoy this edition of BBTV Today, you will be blessed beyond measure by the total programming of the Bodybuilders Television Network. So call a friend, get a pen, and get ready to make that call and become a Kingdom Builder partner today and subscribe to the Bodybuilders Television Network. Get ready for a bodybuilding experience with the host of BBTV Today, co-founder of the Bodybuilders Television Network, Dr. Brenda C. Miller.
Hello, I'm Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss, and welcome to today's edition of BBTV Today. Since 2000, BBTV Today has been the promotional broadcast of the Bodybuilders Television Network. This year, 2000, we're celebrating 20 years. Dr. Will and myself, we're celebrating 20 years of BBTV Today's promotional broadcast and the Bodybuilders Television Network. The reason how we can do that, because BBTV Today started out as a half-hour broadcast nationally promoting the Bodybuilders Television Network. So now throughout this year, through the entire year, we're going to be celebrating and sharing, introducing and reintroducing Bodybuilders Television Network and BBTV Today to many of you. You know, because of today's technology, so many people are able to get on their smartphones, on their laptops, their tablets, and they're able to broadcast. I mean, they're broadcasting everywhere but in the shower, and you're liable to see that any day. They're sharing, they're broadcasting, they're going live, they're starting their broadcast, and they're doing their broadcast live on Facebook. Mistake, but I'm going to talk about that later. But I wanted to take this time, and throughout this year of 2020, Dr. Will and I are going to be introducing and sharing with you not only the present of BBTV Today and the Bodybuilders Television Network, but our past. Where did we come from? And where will we be going? So this is 2020. We're going to take you back from 2000 to 2020 this year. We're going to be adding on, showing more, and introducing where we've come from. We put our time in, but also it's 2020. We're going to also begin to interject. What is the vision? Where are we going in the future? So we're going to not only be talking about from 2000 to 2020, we're going to be talking about from 2020 to 2025. What is the future of this ministry? What has God called us to? So you're going to be blessed and looking forward to that. I wanted to take today on this broadcast to start a little bit out in talking about myself. and where this whole thing came from. I started out, and I have been in media and marketing professionally since 1979. Over 45 years, I have been professionally in marketing and media since college. As a little girl, when I would watch Bewitched, I would watch Darren Stevens because, he was an ad executive. And when I was watching, I watched because I was able to come up with ideas for McMahon and Tate. That was the advertising agency back then. So even then, in high school, I was voted most likely to go to Hollywood. I have always wanted and felt that I was called to media. Now, mind you, this was years and years ago. Not that many years, but it's been a few years that I knew that God had called me and assigned me to media. I didn't understand the extent of the calling of God, but I knew there was something. I was born to write. I was born to speak. I was born to be in front of people in television. I have the voice, may not have the face, but I have the personality, and I don't do too bad. I was meant to be in front of the camera. I didn't just start. This was what I was born and destined to do. I wanted to be, and you may not can see this, but I wanted to be a comedic actress. I wanted to go to Hollywood. I wanted to be a comedian. I wanted to be a comedic actress, and I wanted to write screenplays because eventually I knew the power and the money was actually a lot behind the camera, not just in front of the camera. But I always wanted to be in front of the camera, but I wanted to be behind. I wanted to write screenplays. I never really wanted to produce. I'm a writer. I love writing. So I wanted to write and produce screenplays for others to direct. And that was my heart and my vision. And I entered publishing in 1979. I launched my first magazine the same time Stephen Strain launched Charisma. We were right in the same area, right in the same city, right in the same time. I launched Brightside magazine at the same time he was launching Charisma. Outside of Calvary Assembly of God at the Rock House and all of that, during that same time period. We're talking in the 70s. So I did not just start now. We didn't just start here. And also during that time, I launched my advertising agency, my first agency, Incentive Concepts, advertising, public relations, and marketing. So I launched my first agency back in 1979, so I could handle myself as a personality and also handle my magazine, Brightside Magazine, to market it and promote it. So I had my own agency that did the marketing promotions for what I did. Because at that time, the love of my heart, believe it or not, is I love radio. I was part of FGAG, the Florida Gospel Announcers Guild. I was a DJ. I was an on-air personality. I loved radio. Now, when I went to Orlando did not have a full-time black gospel radio station. In the 70s, they did not have one. So when I got to Orlando, one of the first things I wanted to start doing is getting Christian radio, black Christian radio, on the air. I crusaded. I would go in and buy and broker my time on air, and I began to broker the time and buy time, have spots. We did bring radio in and black gospel, but historically, you can go all the way back, ask the Willie Clarks, and many of those, it's documented. I was one of the ones that was instrumental in bringing full-time black gospel radio to Orlando, because at that time we didn't have it. And through my agency, not Embassy, it's now Embassy Media, but then it was called Incentive Concepts, Advertising and Public Relations, and because of my expertise and involvement, which was the thing, that was radio back then in the 70s and 80s, that was the media of the day. So in doing and being involved in that radio media at that time with my agency, and I'm sales too, I'm promoted that way, so I began to see some doors and opportunities. So I began what was called tracking. Those of you, those of you who don't know that, that's why I wanted to take the time. And this year, I want to introduce myself and Dr. Will to those of you that don't understand, and also understand our tenure. We didn't just get out here, and I didn't just get out here when, you started being able to go on and do this free and go here. No, I've earned my dues. I'm a professional. I did not just start doing this. I went to college. I have been in the ad agency, television, and media for over 45 years. So this is full time. This is what, I got some time and tenure. I got some blood, sweat, and tears into this. So we didn't just get there. Dr. Will and I together, we've paid our dues. But you don't know that. So that's why we're taking the rest of this year as we're doing. And as I say, on BBTV today, we'll be doing three things. We'll be sharing where we are. We'll be sharing where we came from, and we'll be sharing where we're going. BBTV today was designed to interview authors, actors, ministry, business leaders, entertainers, and I'll go there because it was an extension of what I was doing on radio. As a full-time radio announcer and DJ, with my radio promotions through Incentive Concepts, I began to do what was tracking. There was an artist. If you had a product, my job would be to track the radio stations to see if they were getting airplay, to make sure they got airplay, and to be able to document that back and get that to some of the printed media that was sharing what was happening. See, some of you don't understand and realize things are simple today, but back in the day, we had to do a lot more. So you had to have a person like myself that tracked the product and how it got played. Some of the people that I tracked for was Vicki Winans, Walter and Edwin Hawkins. These are my clients. This is who I track for. Vicki Winans, Walter and Edwin Hawkins, Evangelist Shirley Caesar, Nicholas, that's Phil and Brenda Nicholas, Alan T.D. Wiggins, Ben Tankard, Michael Matthews, author of Mama I Want to Sing, stage play, and many, 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 many more. Okay, so I didn't just thought this is how I got out there, but then I began to expand, and in 1992, actually 1993, I entered the business of home entertainment. I started my company, Jubilee Home Entertainment Center. And what we did is we put in home entertainment and satellite systems. My son, Travis Lynn, who is now professionally, I ended up turning the business over to him, and he took it to a whole new level. But we put in home satellites. Now, I'm not talking about little satellites initially. I'm talking about the big 7.5 dishes. The big 7.5 dishes, we had to go and dig the holes in the ground, post holes. That was my job. I dug the holes. And the boys, they would run the wire and connect it to the satellite. You had to find the satellite. You had to turn the bird and all of that. You had to find those birds. And this is what I did. Outside of that, we professionally own Jubilee Home Entertainment Center. Well, one of the first things that I did is I went to the National Conference of Home Entertainment Suppliers and Satellite Dealers in Houston, Texas. This was in 1993. Needless to say, I was one of the first and few African Americans and females in this business in the 1990s. It was not, and that was very apparent when I went to that convention. Amen. But it was good though. But it was, people was like, "What's she doing here?" "I'm here, just like you." Okay, and so that was in Houston, Texas. But they began to talk about the future of satellite dishes, how it was going to be changing. Now, mind you, this is in 1992, 1993, that they were talking about how the industry was going to be changing. We're talking 30-something years before it even happened. We knew it was going to be going on, those changes. So in 1994, at the Satellite Conference in Houston, they introduced something that was going to be coming out different. The company EchoStar was saying 7.5 satellite dishes are going to be changing. Television and the way we watch it and the way we receive it in the future is going to change. And they introduced to us, and they brought this thing out, and it was from EchoStar, and it was going to be called the Digital Sky Highway, the future of the Dish Network. Now, mind you, I was there. We were there in 1992, 93 to talk about what was going to be coming out. It had not even happened then, but I saw it. So on March 4th, 1996, EchoStar introduced Digital Sky Highway or Dish Network. Awesome. I became one of the first installers in the state of Florida of the Dish Network satellites. And those of you that take the time to watch this, it's going to bless you. Some of you are already gone because you're so quick, you want this, that, and the other. But for those that value quality information and to understand, you're going to be blessed by this. Well, it was then when I was installing those satellites and being involved in the industry side. And that's the difference, especially myself and Dr. Will and I working together. I've been on the industry side, not on the consumer side, but I've been on the commercial and the industry side. I knew what was going to be happening before. You know what's the sad part? And I must say this. With this information, I took this information and I tried sharing it with others in ministry. I did. I took it to my denomination. I took it to coaching and said, listen, the future is changing, people. We need to get ready. Forget about we need to take a foothold on the future. Nobody really heard me. So guess what? I just did what God had given me because I saw that media was going to be changing. Well, it was then that when the Lord showed me that, I knew Christian TV overall was going to be changing. And as I continued, we transitioned from the large dishes to the small dishes, and I was installing Dish Network. Now, this was 1994-95, and it was as I was installing the Dish Network satellites, I met a powerful man. His name is Bob Johnson. I met Bob Johnson, who was launching a new Christian television network called Sky Angel. In order to get Sky Angel, though, you had to subscribe to Dish Network, and Sky Angel was attached. Listen, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to give you a little information about the Bodybuilders Television Network, and then I'm going to be back, talk a little more about our past, and set you up for our guest on today. This is Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss, BBTV Today, and I'm going to be right back after this. And we're back. This is BBTV Today. I'm Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss. If you stayed and watched all the way through, we're bringing you up to speed about what happened in 1994 at the Satellite Owners Conference in Houston, where they introduced Echo Star. Echo Star was a satellite dish that was dish-shaped, sort of a circular shape, and designed to receive or to transmit. The first satellite television dishes were built to receive signals on C-band that was analog, and they were very large. That's what I did, the 7.5 dishes through Jubilee Home Entertainment Center. They told us how the large dishes were going to be phasing out to smaller ones, and on May 4th, 1996, EchoStar introduced the Digital Sky Highway, or Dish Network. Now, I want to say to you that don't understand, and sometimes God will place people in your life that's a blessing to you, and you miss that blessing. People, by the time that you find out about something, it's already been done. Boards have met on it, the plans have been made, it's been organized, and we are, by the time we find out about it, slow down, as a consumer, it's already been taken care of on the business, the administrative, the commercial, and the industry level. All of those things are done, and it's presented to you. In 1992 and 1993, I knew that the satellites were coming. The way that we watch television is going to change, because I was in a circle, an arena, very limited circle, where I got this information, but it was very difficult to take that and transcend it and give that information to those that were in a position that had maybe more numbers, maybe more money, to be able to do things. But Pastor Will always has that scripture that he says, a poor man's wisdom is despised. Sometimes people will overlook you because you're not packaged like they want. You know, I wasn't scruffy or nothing because I had my own business, but it was like, well, who are you? Who are you to tell? Well, listen, we've been faithful, and that's why we're going to take this time to show where God has brought us from, where we are now. And then Embassy 2025, what's the vision for the next 5 years? Well, as I said, I started working and installing the Dish Network satellites, and in doing that, I got an opportunity to meet with Bob Johnson. Bob Johnson was launching a new Christian television network, Sky Angel, and he had made a contractual agreement with Dish Network that would sign that you could attach the dishes to be able to receive all of these Christian channels. Now, we're talking in the 90s. It's not like it is now. So to attach all of these Christian channels where you could watch them at home. Guess who got the contract to do those in Florida? I think Joint Heirs Christian Center in Jacksonville, Florida was one of the first ones that I installed in a church. And I can't remember how many others, Orlando, from different areas, Jacksonville, even up into Georgia. I started going up into Georgia and Tampa, installing in churches and then also in homes the Sky Angel dish system. If you're not familiar with Sky Angel and Bob Johnson, I do want to take the time because this is important. I'm in no rush. It took us 20 years to get here, and we're going to put it out. And some of you that take the time to watch it, it's going to be a blessing to you. Sky Angel was formed in 1980 by Bob Johnson, who aimed to create a faith-based Christian television service that would be free of the content, but you just had to subscribe to it. And eventually it went up to 36 channels. They had 115,000 subscribers. And then in 2007, they transitioned to IPTV, which is Internet Protocol, because they were having to have the dishes, but then you didn't just have to have the dishes. It would go through internet. But, you know, things changed. And unfortunately, in 2014, Dish Network closed out their relationship with Sky Angel when Sky Angel totally dissolved and was no more. But it was during that time also because, you know, everything is, what does it say? There's nothing new under the sun. I saw and worked along with Sky Angel and saw what they did, the concept, and I began to do it at the same time as they were doing. God gave us the vision. So we actually in 2000, way before the internet came out, I was getting information and I said, you know what? Even the way that they were being done then with the satellite dishes, the Lord allowed me to see and then be around to have the evidence that technology was going to be changing, and that in the future, the way that television was received was going to change. So 20 years ago, in 1998, I was doing this, met Dr. Will. He was one of our partners, an advertiser. I met with him and other pastors as I was going out sharing the vision of Bodybuilders Television Network. And the Lord allowed us to work together to bring this vision to pass of the Bodybuilders Television Network. So worked for 2 years from 1998, and in 2000 it launched. Bodybuilders Television Network launched. We're talking about a television network on a platform that did not yet exist. That's why you see that information on the screen. You've got to go there and watch it. And that's basically a lot of what I'll do here, because I have the information there. You need to go to the website. You need to go and take some time. You will be blessed by what you see and how you're seeing it. Well, listen, as I said, Bodybuilders Television Network, we have a 24/7 streaming channel, which we talked about. Now it's there. 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch the Bodybuilders Television Network. We encourage you to go to our website, which is on the screen, bbtvn.com, because you need to see the full gamut. Don't just watch the programming. You need to see the ministry behind it, okay? And go there. And in the days this year, our website is going to become more interactive. We're going to have more resources, more information, daily updates, our prayer line. We're taking our website more interactive where you can go there. But here's the thing that's very excited about it. Because, Acts 19:2 says this, where Paul said, he asked the disciples that he came upon a group of disciples and he asked them, have ye received the Holy Ghost since ye believed? And they said, we have not so much as heard if there be any Holy Ghost. Listen, Embassy 2025, we're talking about that and more, our vision for the future, where we are now and where we're going. Embassy 2025 has a goal. We have a goal to partner with 200 churches that are out there and see that over a period of 5 years that 20 souls are added and planted in these churches. Souls that are not just saved, but are saved, tongue-talking, and planted. So many times we talk about evangelism, but not just to evangelize. Let's see those souls planted. 24/7 Bodybuilders Television Network brings you programming from a classical Pentecostal perspective. Preaching, teaching, revivals, conferences, ministry on relationships, marriage, on teaching, faith. It's powerful and it reaches across multiple generations. Because Bodybuilders Television Network and the thrust of our ministry, we don't charge like traditional networks for airtime. We don't charge, but it is ministry oriented for us to be able to reach, to do our media outreach, to go into cities and do Bodybuilders Television Network's crusades, which we've done in the past, to do Bodybuilders crusades, to help partner with churches and ministries out there. Even as individuals, we need your help and support. You see that information on the screen. What we have is an additional 24 channels. When you become a partner, a Bodybuilders Television Network, and partner with us for a one-time gift of $25, you will get those additional 24 channels for 3 months, 90 days. You can go there, watch, and look and see all the additional. If you have Hulu, Netflix, Sling, or any of those streaming services, Bodybuilders Television Network works the exact same way. We've tried different platforms, and so now we've gone to making it a package, the Bodybuilders Television Network partner package for 90 days, 3 months. You will get all 24 channels. If you like them and you want to continue to receive them, it's only going to be $9.99, $10 a month. Okay, $10 a month if you want to continue. Once you give your $25 and after 90 days, it will go off. You don't have to do anything else. But for your gift and partnering with us as a Bodybuilders Television Network partner to help us reach and claim and proclaim and promote our classical Pentecostal experience and heritage, and we're doing it through the technology of media like the Bodybuilders Television Network. Well, how appropriate in media is my guest on today. His name is Isaac Hernandez. He is the VP of Programming and Syndication for Parables Television Network. I'm sure you've heard of Parables, and you can go and watch. They've got powerful movies and so much more. He's also the host of Faith on Film, a dynamic talk show where he interviews industry professionals and individuals that are in the media ministry, faith-based programming, quality programming, 24/7. Listen, I'm going to go away for a commercial, and then I've got a lot of different things in from Isaac Hernandez, Faith on Films, and more. Hey, this is BBTV Today. I am Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss, and I'll be back at the end of today's show.
I've dreamt of having this media power couple on my show for quite some time now. And today, well, it's become a reality. Find out who here on Faith on Film. Welcome to Faith on Film. Are you ready to find out why I'm so excited about today's show? Well, in 1993, Kevin emerged as a full-fledged international TV star when he was cast as the lead role of Hercules in a series of TV films that would lay the groundwork for the immensely popular series Hercules: The Legendary Journeys. In 1997, Kevin accepted his first leading film role in the fantasy action feature called The Conqueror. Kevin is now highly recognized as Professor Radisson on the very successful faith-based film God's Not Dead. Sam Sorbo holds many titles, including filmmaker, radio host, actress, international model, author, wife, mother, and home education advocate. After high school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Sam studied biomedical engineering at Duke University before pursuing a career in modeling. Modeling offered her the chance to travel and learn several languages. She is fluent in 5. Kevin, Sam, welcome to Faith on Film.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here. And Sam and I went to college for completely different reasons.
Really?
She knew where the library was. I knew where the gym was. So there's the balance we have there.
Yeah, when I read her bio, my first thought was, oh my goodness, Kevin is married to a genius. But let's get on with the show because I know there's so much to talk about. Kevin, you are well known for playing the ancient Greek mythological demigod Hercules. However, towards the end of season 5, you experienced something that potentially could have ended your career. What would that be?
Well, unbeknownst to me, I had an aneurysm up on my left subclavicle that had been giving me a lot of problems for the last few months of season 5. I kind of blew off the symptoms because I was always getting beat up and doing my own stunts because I wanted to do my own stunts. My ego said, you can do this. And when I went back to LA, I was doing some publicity work on my newest movie called The Conqueror, and went to see my doctor and found a lump there. It ended up being an aneurysm that had opened up and sending clots down there, but a trip to the chiropractor crack in my neck actually sent 4 clots into my brain. And the one to my feet dissolved fairly quickly, but the other 3 unfortunately planted their claim into my brain. And I 2 went to the balance center, 1 went to my vision. I still have a 10% loss in both eyes, but it ultimately led to a book that this person here kept saying, this book needs to be made. And so we made the book, and it's been amazing. It's called True Strength. It's right there. It's it came out a dozen years after my strokes, but it's amazing. What's that?
My journey.
My journey, yes. True Strength, my journey from Hercules to mere mortal, and how nearly dying saved my life. A long subtitle. But There's a lot of truth to that subtitle.
But it's helped a lot of people.
It's helped a lot of people. I mean, for those of me, I thought I'd never be doing, that's public speaking. I do probably about 12 to 15 speaking engagements a year. Anything from motivational to pro-life to medical to whatever it may be. It's been a pretty incredible ride, only because of this book. And it's, we're all going to hit a roadblock in our life, and how you react to the roadblock makes all the difference in the world in terms of your recovery.
But he has people coming to him at events and saying, "Thank you so much. Your book inspired me to overcome, to fight through, to not give up."
People going through cancer or a car crash or heart attacks, whatever it may be, they say this book has motivated them. They say, why me? Why me?
Welcome to BBTV Today with your host, Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss. Since 1998, BBTV Today has been the promotional broadcast of the Bodybuilders Television Network, the vision of Dr. Will and Brenda Chambliss, founders. The vision is now reality, and you can watch Bodybuilders Television Network along with our other primary channels, Embassy TV and WHIM TV, where he is magnified, from our website, your smart or Android phone, Roku, or your favorite streaming device. Now streaming 24/7 in HD. BBTV Today continues to share powerful testimonies, interviews, cover events, conferences, revivals, convocations, and more, music ministry, and most important, an inspirational word from the Lord. You will continue to be blessed by the powerful ministry of BBTV Today as we share the vision of Bodybuilders Television Network. So, call a friend, get a pen, and get ready to be blessed by the awesome ministry of BBTV Today with your host, co-founder of the Bodybuilders Television Network, Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss.
We're already in. What I wanted to talk with you about, because I go back and do all my intros, I wanted to talk about something that we had actually talked about at NRB a couple of years ago, and I think it's really apparent now. And I think you were also talking about it with Phil Cook, because you are, what is your actual title, CEO or CFO of with Parables?
Right now, I'm general manager, vice president, and general manager.
Okay, vice president and general manager with Parables TV, and you do great things with that. But it's 2020. What are you seeing, or what do you feel the direction and the future of having solid Christian media and the importance of it? Where do you see that going, and where do you see us at, and what do we need to do to get there?
Well, I think we are at the point where we have to make choices on what we're going to ingest. And I'll start this off by telling you about my big passion about healthy entertainment. And I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but a few years ago, I mean, I've been diabetic for, I don't know, like 15 years or something like that. I never really took it that serious. I love my chocolate chip cookies and all that. And all I would do was I would say, you know what, I'll just take an extra pill today. So we know that don't work, but that shows you how unserious I was about it. But then about a couple of years ago, maybe, after one of my visits, my doctor sends me a letter that says, look, your A1C, which is, how you measure your glucose levels, has gone up too high. We're going to have to put you on insulin. And I'm like, I can't do that. I hate needles. I mean, I'm literally paranoid of needles. And so I said, there's got to be another way. And my daughter-in-law said, you got to look at this documentary called Forks Over Knives, which is basically all about the plant lifestyle, eating basically plant food, no meats or anything. So I tried that for a while. I figured, that sounds like I can do it. And I did it. And sure enough, my health started to change. My numbers started to go down. My weight, I lost like 40 pounds. I was feeling really energetic and just feeling good. And then God speaks to me right in there, right during that time. And he says, what about the health of your soul? Like,
Wow.
huh? What are you talking about, God? So yeah, he started just sharing with me, if you will, that just like our bodies react to what we feed it through our mouth, whatever, if we eat healthy, we have healthy bodies. If we eat unhealthy, we have unhealthy bodies.
Exactly.
Same way with your soul. But the soul feeds on what you give it through here and through here. In other words, what you watch and what you listen to. So God said the problem has been that we, and when I say we, I mean Christians even, have been eating nothing but unhealthy food. The entertainment that's out there has progressively grown more unhealthy over the years. I mean, I remember shows that I used to watch back when I was a kid, and what kids shows are like now, and I'm just amazed at where we've gone. And so it's an unhealthy entertainment. So I think we're at that point now where we have to make a really strong choice to whether we want to continue that way or we want to change course. And by that I mean we need healthy entertainment, not just preachers. It's hard to just watch preachers. I mean, I know you guys are preachers and all that, but so we're normal, regular humans, and we need a little fun entertainment too. And so the thing is that's why people used to, they'll go to their of course their church, their preacher at church. They'll go to their favorite preacher maybe on TV, but beyond that, they start watching entertainment, and there's only been unhealthy entertainment. So we're at a point where we need to start really creating a lot of what I then would call healthy entertainment. So Christian movies, Christian documentaries, Christian reality shows, and they don't even have to be, where there's an altar call at every show or at the end of the movie, but they just have to give us good biblical, lifestyle. They have to be, that they have to have something that kind of gives us hope, something that feeds us good, good godly vibes, if you will. I don't know. It's just we're at that point where we got to have that.
Do you think it's one of the things where we are now? We're dealing with generations. We have, the silent is leaving, but we have the boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, Gen Y, Gen Z, and then the new ones that's coming on. Do you feel that with the media that we have, are we able to capture, how do we capture some, especially like the baby boomer generation, how do we capture them, but also how do we keep the interest of the Gen Xers and the millennials? Because God in heaven knows they're moving so fast. I'm like, slow up. I can't keep up with my grands. And I have I know I'm young and gorgeous, but I have great grands. Can you believe that? Yes, I do.
Oh, wow.
I know I don't look it, but I actually have great grands. And so it's really tough to capture. So how do we come up and be able to use and utilize, because we have, when you're talking about, and that's kind of where we are, when you're talking about documentaries and information and things and just talking and having a relationship that's godly, but everything is not like, in the Bible with the Bible and testimony service and all that, but we've got real lives. Well, you know what? Some folk, they, there's a whole generation out there that they never had a grandparent or a godparent or, somebody. The baby boomers, I think, is one of the untapped sources of information and resource, because if we could capture that and get it over to the others, not only to leave as a testimony and heritage, but also to share those things. How did we do it before it was this? And what happened? I saw a commercial once where somebody went to this thing and it was these two girls, they took a picture and they would say, "Grandma, what's this?" It was a whole phone booth. They had no idea what it was, how it worked. Like, what is this? How do you get it to work? Whatever. But in what you're doing, and even with the programming, that number one, I want to applaud you for Faith in Film. First of all, you're doing a phenomenal job at that. I want to tell you that. That's great. We carry it here on Bodybuilders Television Network, but how do you utilize and see when you're interviewing people about faith in film and documentaries and stories and series and things that may be baby boomer focused in ideas, but do you see those being able to be enjoyed or received by younger generations?
Well, I am at a point where I'm from generation geriatric. So I don't know, I know there's Gen X, Gen Y, I don't even know what, but I'm generation geriatric. I'm getting pretty old up there. But I have my ear in tune to what the young people are doing, what they're watching, what they want to see. And it's difficult because if we give them, in essence, what they're already watching from a non-faith perspective, the Christian audience, the older Christian audience, the generation geriatrics, get all offended, okay? And they're like, oh my goodness, what are you putting on? And yet it's really kind of what's going to attract them. I can't attract them with an old, and I, by the way, I love Billy Graham movies, but I can tell you, I don't think I'm going to attract these young, generation baby boomers with a Billy Graham movie as much as I like it. And so we have to start seeing, okay, how do we, what do we need to create that will attract them? Mm-hmm. The problem has been from the commercial side of it, or should I call it the marketability. Most, at least up until a few years ago, the way that you would disseminate, this content was through DVDs. Who bought the DVDs? Well, it usually was the mom or the grandma. The mom and the grandma didn't really, they were not attracted to something that maybe their grandkids were attracted to, but they were the ones that buying it, so they would bring it home. Now you literally can reach them just through a phone or an iPad or something, and so you're kind of bypassing that area. The problem is the financials, though. There just hasn't been enough, there just is not enough sales that would happen that would be able to help these guys make these movies, make these documentaries, make these reality shows. Cost a lot of money, and the money just hasn't been there. I think that one of the things, number one, from that perspective, that we need to do is perhaps somehow get the churches and get the Christians to realize that that's going to be how we're going to reach these young kids.
Yes.
And to start putting money into it, whether it be to donate money to film producers. This is why I do my show, because I want the viewing audience. My show is it's not really geared towards the young people. It's really geared towards the older people, but it's geared towards letting them know, look who's out here doing this. Look who's out here creating content that your grandkids will love, that your great-grandkids will love. And hopefully they will help them to continue to do this. Because if not, it's going to happen like what happened with music, where there just wasn't any real revenue to survive. So most of these Christian artists would end up going to the world.
Oh my, you said it there. And that's true. That's really what happens there. Isaac, as we're talking, and I appreciate you taking the time to share with us on today, and definitely we're going to do this again. I may have you on once a month, because we can't get it all. I mean, it's, it's just, you start here and I'm like, where do I go? You're just starting. So we're introducing you to the audience, and we need to stay there, because what you're saying is so important that it's almost like, when you hear media people say, if you can't go on the mission field, support us and we'll go. What we're saying is, media, you can't do it. Support those of us who are.
Yeah.
And Dr. Will and I, this is 2020. We are revisiting church. I mean, we are Church of God in Christ, classical Pentecostal, bring your tambourine, drums, and we go. But listen, we have a whole generation and a whole new audience. We are in a church plant in Cherokee, North Carolina. Cherokee is the home of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. Here's the thing. Sometimes we're so used to reaching and talking to an audience. I'll tell Dr. Will sometime, when they're preaching, they'll say, well, so, you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, they really don't know what you mean. And so what we're realizing is that we may not get 400 or 500 people to come in the church, but I have 400 or 500 people watching online that wouldn't come to Bible study. And so we're revisiting how we do church and ministry. And number one, when you're doing this outreach like this, you're able to be economical and save those monies and put them into things that's necessary, like the equipment to reach, like the vans to go out and carry the equipment. And then when you're able to go out and do a crusade or do a outreach thing, you've got the professional way of doing that. And we're rethinking how we're doing church. We're on this. I mean, we started a couple of years ago, Pastor Will? We started this thing on mobile church. And that's what we're preparing for. Listen, isn't that like the old fashioned way they used to do it? They were circuit preachers. I think that's what's happening. I think that's what you're able to do with Parables TV. I think that's what's happening with Faith in Films as you're interviewing and introducing. Listen, we can reach more people through media that may never step into our churches. So let's begin to develop how we can do that and follow up and have the things in place. What do you think about that?
Well, here's the interesting thing. It's nothing new. It's not a new tool. The devil's been using this tool for years, for generations. In fact, just think about this. The devil doesn't have these devil churches on every corner in the city. Say, hey, come to my church and we're going to convert you into devilism, Satan, whatever you want to call it.
I like devilism. I'm going to use that. Devilism.
You like devilism. He goes into your homes. He goes into your homes and starts planting ideas little by little through these shows that you get to watch, where all of a sudden us as Christians have become very comfortable with a lot of the things that are really not very godly at all. I mean, I'm amazed at how many Christians, for instance, are okay now with gay marriage. And I don't want to get too controversial, but let's face it. This is how we believe, and yet we're okay with it now. We're okay with abortion because, hey, the mother should have her choice. Why? Because we've been eating this through media, and so the devil's been putting all that in our homes. But we as Christians want to tell people, come to the church, and that's where we're going to change your life. Movies, documentaries, television, all this goes into your home and begins to plant the right concepts, the right ideas, the right truths.
Even sitting here talking to you, I was thinking about something. Years ago, I started working with Bob Johnson from Sky Angel. A lot of people may not even know who Sky Angel was, but that was how far I went back in the 80s. I was actually the first contractor that Bob has. I was actually installing the DBS dishes. That's what we did. Yeah, I was. That's how I've been really I was doing the dishes and things. And what Bob's heartbeat and thrust was with Sky Angel, which a lot of the things I let people know, the entire Bodybuilders Television Network model was not original. God gave it to him, but I saw Bob Johnson do it and had an effective way. And his thing was, listen, we won't charge you the airtime, but y'all get behind and support. And even what I'm hearing, and I'm thinking here, and I just saw this and as you were speaking, with Parables TV, and I want you to talk a little bit about that. And like I said, we aren't going to be able to get into everything today, but if ministries or individuals can get behind, because I know I don't know if you still have that model of paying or doing, but I'm like, there needs to be a way that a church, a ministry, it could be a women's prayer group to say that we want to come in and get behind and sponsor so much and be able to do that. What about something like that?
Well, here's what Parables is right now. And you mentioned, the paying for the service. When we originally started, it was going to be a subscription service very similar to Netflix. People would pay a small amount. It was like $5.95 a month, and they could get access to all the content that we had available. Unfortunately, people don't want to pay anymore.
That's it.
They want to, they'll subscribe to 2, maybe 3 services. But here's the order: Netflix,
Hulu,
Amazon Prime, and maybe now Disney Plus or one of those. So it's like, I don't really need a 4th one. So therefore, they were not subscribing to Parables. Very few subscribers. And there's different ones. There's Parables. There's PureFlix. There's CrossFlix. There's a few of us out there, doing this. But it just, I'll be honest with you, we're struggling because people don't want to pay. So we have changed it now to a free service. Parables is now free.
Okay.
It's free. The only thing is that there will be some commercials that pop in while you're watching a movie, for instance. And somebody has to pay because this costs a lot of money. Okay?
Yes,
Having
it
a
does.
platform, costs a lot of money.
Yes, it
Getting
does.
the content costs a lot of money. So if you're not willing, if you the viewer are not willing to pay, well, we're going to see if maybe just view because it's free and we'll get the advertisers to pay. You're going to have to go through advertising. Now, if you're really annoyed by those commercials popping in every once in a while, then subscribe. So we still have that available. People can subscribe and they'll pay, and then that'll go away. And there'll be some added values that we're going to bring to that. But right now, anybody can go to parables.tv and they can just register and watch for free everything that's on there.
And we experience the same thing with bodybuilders. You know, we've got the 25 channels, and we put down at 60 cents a day. 60 cents a day, you can subscribe to, and you can get 25 channels. That's 600 hours a day, 4,000 hours a week, 18,000 hours a month of solid, good programming. And it's kind of like, woo, you know, and you said something that's really important. Your ear gates and your eye gates. We had an old Sunday school song that says, watch your eyes, what you see, watch your ears, what you hear. And we are actually desensitized because we are watching programs that are anti what we believe. We're watching programs where it's got blended families, not she was married and then, I mean, you got 2 men, 2 ladies, and we're watching that and enjoy it. We're watching programs, and I say this a lot, we're watching programming that, you know, like, I won't name out channels, but, you know, you're watching the housewives of whoever, and they got boobies everywhere. My husband ain't watching that. I ain't turning down. I'm not going to sit there with my husband and let him sit there watching. You got everything showing from yesterday to your day and forevermore. Ain't happening here.
Yeah.
You know, that's not happening. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Honey, come on, let's watch it. Oh, no, that's not going to happen. How do we get interested? And then so what happens, like you say, is we're wondering why our witness, our prayer life, we're not getting through like we used to because we're involved with so much stuff.
It's an unhealthy soul. So we're there, and we go to church and we pray and all that, but our soul is unhealthy. And you know that your soul is what controls your thoughts and your emotions.
Exactly.
So suddenly we're not thinking straight. When God says do this, we're not thinking straight. Our emotions, the pastor says something that offended me, because our emotions are no longer healthy. So, and it's because of that. There was a show that I used to love, and I won't mention the name or anything, but it involved 2 guys and a young kid. And that's all I'll say. I loved the show because it was so well written. It was funny. It was well executed. The acting was amazing.
Was there whistling involved and water?
There was they lived by the beach.
Okay.
So yeah, two guys and a son, a young. Anyway, it was a great show and I loved it. But you know the lifestyle that they were portraying, like the main character, you know, he was a very wealthy guy living in a really nice house out by Malibu, you know, Malibu Beach. Had women in his house all the time, multiples of women just all over, you know, and it got to where I'm like, man, that guy lives a pretty good life. That's pretty interesting. That's cool, you know. And then you go, wait a minute, what am I saying? You know,
exactly.
You know, I was raised a Christian, but yet here I am, kind of almost envying his life because my soul is becoming very weak. And that's what the first thing that I cut when God spoke to me about this was I actually have had every DVD of that. I bought every season of that because it was such a cool show. Can't do it. That's like a really good donut.
Yeah, that's the fact of what you're doing. You have to have discipline. Wow, I mean, time goes so fast. And like I said, definitely, Isaac, we're going to actually, because I know, but we got to do more of these and schedule where you come on and we can just talk and maybe highlight each month something special. What's going on in Faith in Films? What can we expect?
Well, I've got a new open. I've got a new look to it. And I'm bringing in some more guests. Oh, and I am going to now go on the road with it. in fact, I just got part of the shipment today. I'm buying some new equipment that'll allow me to do multi-camera on location, and it'll all fit in a suitcase. So I literally can take my suitcase to International Christian Film Festival, set it up in a little corner somewhere, and interview people that are there at the film festival live as opposed to doing it, like we're doing right now via Skype or, via internet. So that's kind of what's new and coming up. Hopefully I can start getting, actually, I was reaching out to my friends, in the industry to be guests. Now they're reaching out to me. Hey, can I be on your show? So lots of good things happening with Faith on Film.
And I think we're actually the reverse, because I think one summer, 28. One summer, I was in 28 states. I couldn't hardly see straight. Okay, I we were at a lot of, but I did the years of GMA, GMWA, ICRS, Dove Awards. I've been on the road like 28, 30 years. Done.
I'm barely starting.
I'm so loving this, but what we are doing is different than we've done before. We're dealing with multiple people because just like you, we want to talk with individuals. So we're doing denominational conventions. Go to a conference, get a booth, sit there where you got 15, 20, 30,000 people that are the right audience. So we're going to more receptive audiences that are like, hey, yeah, we'll do this. We'll do this, and be able to meet with them and talk. And I think that's going to work better for us because we've got to go where they are. So we are excited. Listen, if there's one thing with our viewers and audience that you want to share before we go off on today about the programming they're watching and what they're feeding their spirit, what would you say to them?
I would just say be real careful. You know what? Read the label. When you buy food, you read the label. Oh, this has a lot of glucose or a lot of I don't know. There's all kinds of things. There's things you can't even pronounce, and so you'll say, I better not eat that because all that's on this label is not good for me. Do the same thing with the content you're watching. Oh man, this is not something I should be. This is not healthy for me. So let me just put that aside and not watch that. So just read the label.
Wow. Listen, we've had our special guest on today who's definitely, we're going to be inviting him back and doing more and talking about what's happening in the industry, maybe tips of those out there that may be saying, Alex and Stephen Kendrick, their ministry, a lot of people are like, their ministry is media. And they're going out, and there may be others that are trying to do some things or encourage them. And we're going to be maybe talking about how pastors and ministers and people can get involved and get actively involved. If you can't do it, partner with those that are to get it to the next generation. Our special guest on today, Faith on Films.
Faith on Film.
Faith on Film?
Faith on Film.
Why did I say it was Faith on Film? Okay, Faith on Film. It's Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez. He's also the Vice President and General Manager of Parables TV. We carry the broadcast right here. There's some wonderful, wonderful shows on there. And I've been watching, and I was like, where did this stuff come from? You're surprised that there's this much content out there. More, I'm like, where is it coming from? And how you're doing that and getting it out. But we're excited about it. Hey, listen, we've got more in store. This is Dr. Brenda Miller-Chambliss. You're watching BBTV Today, and I will be back after this.
In a land with no boundaries, a man with no limits.
With all this foreign education under your belt, how is it you choose to subject yourself to the rigors of an outdoor life?
I find nature far more predictable and far more honest.
Are you suggesting birds can reason?
What is reason next to yearning?
Will fight for freedom.
Game and fish with you. They told us if we bought anything more from you, they would take our license.
The sheriff stole our order from Alex's store. I'm guilty of nothing but an honest day's work while he steals a meal right off a man's table.
If there's a law I truly broke, I have not read it. I may be a bit too good of a shot, and there may be some who try to construe that against my character.
Equality.
You're a bit of a paradox, Mr. Allen. You are the sole inheritor of the Allen plantation.
and yet you choose a Negro as your steady companion.
My uncle saw on Christmas an accomplished guide, and he hired him for his services.
Listen to you, the original noble savage.
And love.
If I were a bird and you were hunting me, what would I be?
Mallard, particularly beautiful bird in flight.
Your beauty startles the night!
Jim Caviezel, Jamie Alexander, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Sam Shepard, Bradley Whitford, and Hal Holbrook. Discover the inspirational true story.
It's like floating on a sea of stars.
Savannah,